Since the first known accounts of the Greek myths came from almost 2500 years ago, there are a ton of different iterations of most of them. I'm just a 19-year-old uneducated guy sitting on the couch typing the script out. I try to be as accurate as possible, but I can guarantee I will make mistakes, and I am also incredibly biased toward the iterations I was taught first and liked the most. Feel free to point these out in the comments, but please be respectful. I am taking you to the beginning of it all, so to absolutely nothing. According to the ancient Greek, or to the Hellenists that believe in the ancient Greek myths, the world started with just a bunch of nothing. This nothingness was personified by chaos. After many years of being the only being in the entire universe, something changed. Like an annoying roommate, something came into a personal space. A little round ball right in the middle of chaos. This tiny thing came to be known as Gaia, and so the earth we all walk on was born. For years, Gaia walked this planet round and round. She knew every blade of grass and every mountain by heart. But she started to get lonely. She wanted a friend, someone she could talk with, someone to share her secrets and have sleepovers with. So she created him. She named him Uranus. No, not like that. Keep your dirty thoughts to yourself. Uranus covered the entire Earth with his deep, dark presence. She started having more kids. Like, when you buy too many plants to put in your room, Gaia started decorating her surface. There came to be seas, personified by Pontus, and mountains by Auray. Gaia hung out with all of them, but Uranus was still her favorite. After many deep talks in the middle of the night, Gaia invited Uranus over to her favorite beach. If I told you what happened there, this video would be quickly taken down. Let's just say they had a really fun time and discovered that you could make children with two people. And I know that technically Uranus is her son, but come on, everyone she knew were her children. There were literally no other choices for her. This will sadly be a recurring theme. Anyway, Gaia quickly gave birth to 12 children. I don't even want to know what hell she had to have gone through with the birth. At least enough that she would have gotten her own TV show in modern times. Too bad for her that TV wasn't invented yet. She bore 6 girls and 6 boys, the Titans she called them. They very quickly grew up and started inhabiting different parts of the world. Some of them went into the water like Oceanus and Thetis, Titans of the oceans and fresh water respectively. Some went to their father in the sky like Hyperion, Titan of observation, and Thea, Titan of the light. And others stayed close to their mom on the ground, such as Themis, Titan of the Law, and Kronos, Titan of Time. Remember his name, he will shortly be very important. Gaia and Uranus had a lovely time together, watching all of their caplets? Let's just call them 12 kids. As if it wasn't yet enough, Gaia got pregnant again after a while. This time she gave birth to a normal amount of kids, just 3. She loved them the first time she laid her eyes on them, which couldn't have been easy since these kids were seriously ugly. They had one giant eye in the middle of their forehead, dirty, crooked teeth, and a thick skin. Gaia had called them the Cyclopses. Uranus saw them and was immediately disgusted. He refused to raise such ugly kids and was about to go out for some milk before he remembered that milk didn't exist yet, so he had to find another way. He thought of his uncle, Tartarus, who was born from chaos around the same time the Titans were. Tartarus had buried himself deep inside of Gaia. No, not like that. Keep your dirty thoughts to yourself. He had situated himself inside the core of the Earth, far away from Urania and Gaia's surface. It sounded like a perfect place for a permanent vacation for his kids. Uranus told Gaia he'd take the Cyclopses for a walk in the fresh air and went on his way. It took Gaia a while to realize that houses and pollution didn't exist yet and they were always in the fresh air. She was outraged when Uranus returned empty-handed and refused to tell her where her kids were. They stopped talking for a while, but Gaia really wanted to fix the relationship with her son-husband, so she texted him to come over one night after downing a couple shots of tequila, or whatever the equivalent of that was during their time, since tequila didn't exist yet. Uranus came over and Gaia got pregnant once more. The 3 kids that came out were the reason fetal alcohol syndrome was named. They had 100 arms rotating around their body and 50 heads. And that's why we don't drink, kids. Uranus was horrified at what he had created and figured there was just one solution. He told Gaia he'd take the Hecaton Kairos, as Gaia had named them, out to visit their brothers. It took Gaia a while to figure out that Uranus never specified which brothers, and was once again overcome with anger and grief when Uranus showed up empty-handed for a second time. They were yelling and screaming so loud the entire Earth shook. This got the attention of the Titans, who came running to see what was going on. Uranus vanished into the sky as Gaia broke down in tears. The Titans stood around listening in silence as Gaia explained everything. She wanted revenge. She wanted her children back. She never wanted to have any more kids with that awful man. She asked the Titans if anyone was up to help her maim their father. Most of them immediately made up excuses and left, figuring their mom just had to cool down. A handful of Titans stayed. Kronos, the youngest of the bunch, stepped forward. "Do you remember him?" If he didn't, that's fine, neither did most of his siblings. As the youngest, he was always looking for a reason to get the attention, and this seemed like a prime opportunity. He told his mother he'd love to maim his dad. Gaia was overjoyed and went on her way to make a diamond scythe to maim her husband. Cronus was just happy his mom remembered his name. On a warm summer evening, Gaia sat down on her favorite mountain and called up to Uranus. Uranus was wary at first, but seeing Gaia in that wonderful sundress, he immediately forgot all his paranoia. He shouldn't have, since his youngest son was sitting just a few meters away hidden in some bushes, his scythe sharpened and gleaming in the setting sun. Uranus sat down next to Gaia, and as soon as he was at his most relaxed, Kronos jumped out of the bushes and pinned him down. He grabbed his scythe and cut off Uranus' baby-making equipment. Uranus' blood seeped into the earth and seas, creating many different life forms, such as the giants, ash tree nymphs, and a particular goddess of love who will be very important later on. Before Uranus could disappear into the sky for once and for all, he grabbed his youngest son and promised him that one day his own children would overthrow him like he did. And Kronos just laughed it off. He would just not have kids then. Easy, right? Wrong. Otherwise the story would have ended here and I wouldn't have any content. So, thanks for making bad decisions, Kronos. As Gaia started retreating more and more to the background, Kronos took over and started ruling over his brothers and sisters. He built a big palace on top of the biggest mountain in Greece, Mount Othries, and they all lived happily ever after. Psych, there will be way more family drama, no worries. And it all started when the Titans started having kids. Again, I know they're siblings, but it was either a sibling or their mom. Who'd you rather have? For me, honestly, neither. But okay, Kronos might have been a Titan of time, but for him it felt like time didn't exist. He saw his nephew Atlas climb the mountain and hold up the sky. He saw the twins of Hyperion and Thea overtake the sun and moon and ride it through the sky. All his siblings fell in love and had kids, but since his father gave him that stupid prophecy, he wasn't allowed to. But he really wished he could just get married, and there was one particular woman he wanted with him at the altar. His beautiful sister Rhea, Titan of childbirth. You might be thinking, come on Kronos, you can have kids so you want to marry the Titan of childbirth? Well, too bad you weren't born in his time because he couldn't see the problem in it and could definitely use someone to explain it to him. But alas, he eventually went through with the wedding, and who could have guessed Rhea got pregnant? Kronos was mortified. As I said, it was a huge oversight on his part, but now he's stuck with a child. As soon as the little girl Hestia was born and Kronos held her, he got scared. This child was different. She had an aura of power around her that made her father remember Uranus' prophecy. He had no doubt that this child could overthrow him. So while Rhea was still recovering from childbirth, Kronos unhinged his jaw and swallowed the baby girl whole. They made a beautiful painting of this. Rhea was overcome with grief and cried for days on end. She eventually gave Kronos a second chance, got pregnant again, and Kronos also swallowed this girl, Demeter. Maybe Rhea should try swallowing for a chance, it'd save her a lot of grief. The same thing happened with Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. One gulp and they were all gone. Instead of just breaking up after your husband eats 5 of your kids, Rhea gave him yet another chance, as if another child could fix their marriage. Didn't work for your parents, it won't work for them. As soon as Rhea realized she was pregnant again, she refused to tell Kronos a thing. She came by his throne room one day and told him she was gonna have a long walk to the other side of the world. She'd be back in a few months or so. With 5 growing kids wreaking havoc in his stomach, Kronos let her go and looked forward to a few months alone. Rhea walked and swam to the island of Crete. When she arrived there, she gave birth to the baby, Zeus. He screamed and screamed so loud that she was certain that Kronos had heard him. She fell to her knees and begged their mother, Gaia, to help her. Gaia remembered what Uranus had done to their own kids and felt pity for her daughter. She created a stone with the same weight and size as that of baby Zeus and sent some nymphs to raise the child on Crete. Rhea returned to Mount Othries with the stone in hand and took a deep breath before going into the throne room. Kronos immediately got mad at her and told her to show him the baby. Rhea put up a performance worthy of an Oscar and started crying and screaming not to eat her kid this time. She kept the stone concealed within her arms. Kronos eventually managed to steal it away from her and without looking, unhinged his jaw and threw the stone in. Rhea cried even harder and told him she'd never have kids with him ever again. Kronos was happy with this and wondered why she hadn't said that when they first got together. It would have made everything a lot easier. He sat back down in his throne and figured the disaster was avoided, but unbeknownst to him, on faraway Crete, Zeus was growing stronger by the day, waiting for an opportunity to meet his family. When Zeus was old and strong enough, Rhea took him back to Mount Othries. Rhea had told him about his siblings, and Zeus was looking for revenge. Rhea convinced him to wait a while, let Kronos trust him first. Zeus walked straight into the throne room, being like, "Yo, Dad, Lord Kronos, I'm here to serve you." Kronos was wary at first, since he didn't recognize the man in front of him, but his siblings, Oceanus and Thetis, had 6,000 kids at this point. Zeus might be one of them, and a new servant was always welcome. Zeus was appointed as cupbearer, meaning he mostly kept the drinks flowing during parties. He quickly became an important servant in the palace and had the opportunity to get to know his aunts and uncles, and listen in on the stories they told. He learned about his father, his grandmother, and about the destroying of Uranus. No, not like that. Keep your dirty thoughts to yourself. He started to resent Kronos more than he already did and devised a plan. During the most important party of the year, probably Kronos' birthday or something, he made a special mixture combining wine and mustard. Try it out, you'll probably puke. Kronos did the same. All 5 of his eaten children and the stone plopped down on the table, covered in a bunch of goo and puke. The kids, now being all grown gods, escaped with Zeus to a little known mountain next to Mount Orthrys. Maybe if you live in that area of Greece you've heard of it, but it was called Mount Olympus. A war broke out. Not unlike the war in your family whenever you play Monopoly. It took 10 years and was called a Titanomachy. It's comparable to the WWE, but if it was between a dysfunctional, incestuous family. After 10 years, Zeus and his siblings devised an ultimate plan. Zeus went to find Kronos' brothers, the Hecatonchires and Cyclopses. In return, they gave them special weapons based on their personality. Zeus got a lightning bolt, Poseidon a trident, and Hades got a helmet of invisibility. The female gods were left out, probably because ancient Greek was incredibly misogynistic, but hey, that's life I guess, at least they got a throne. After their return from visiting their uncles, they all climbed to the top of Olympus and launched a full-on assault on Mount Orthrys. The Hecatonchires and Cyclopses threw entire mountains to the palace, redesigning it into a pile of dust. Meanwhile, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades found their way to Daddy Kronos and cornered him. On the way there, Zeus had grabbed the same scythe Kronos used to destroy Uranus. Zeus lifted the scythe above his head and slashed Kronos into bits before he could give him an annoying prophecy or something. If anybody else had been so smart, we wouldn't even have gotten to this point. From that moment on, Zeus became king of the gods, which were currently just him and his siblings. But soon there'd be enough to be an actual king. Don't worry, Zeus would make sure of that. The gods cast the remaining titans who had fought against him in Tartarus, who still wasn't getting any child support, even though he'd been taking care of a bunch of crybabies since the day he was born. Only the titans who had helped the gods were allowed to stay. Zeus sat down on his new throne, and the construction of Mount Olympus began. So, that's an incredibly oversimplified and probably kind of wrong explanation of the beginning of Greek mythology. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe and leave a like, it would help me tremendously, and I apologize for my art. Bye!